that it takes to even landscapers see that in an environment where they're going at such a rate of speed as far as like barbell cycling or pull-ups or different movements that causes a lot of friction and can cause for your hands to rip or tear.
Gotcha. Now, where'd you come up with the concept?
Well, ultimately, I mean, I was having that problem. And so my husband, I got sick of listening to me complain about my hands ripping and tearing while working out. And he knew that I had tried everything out there on the market and that nothing was working for my small hands. And so he said that he thought he could make something to solve my problem. And he did just that. And some other people saw it at the gym and went crazy about it and wanted to buy it. And so that's when that magical light bulb moment, happened. And I thought, well, hey, maybe we have something here.
Really, it's wonderful to hear entrepreneurs and business owners talk about them having something that they're using and everyone else gets excited about it. Was it 5, 10, 15, 20 people who said, hey, this is pretty cool, you got to give it to me before you decided that it might be a business opportunity, or was it more than that?
Honestly, it was one person. It was one person that I had never met before. We were starting to work out at the gym, and it was 100 pull-ups for time, and she was in from out of town, and she got emotionally distraught about the workout, and I had never met her before, and I asked her if she was okay, and she said, yeah, I'm just worried I'm going to rip and tear my hands. And I said, oh, try these things my husband made. And after the workout, she came sprinting towards me, and I didn't know if she was mad at me or happy with me. I didn't really know what was going on, and she said that wanted to know where I got them, how could she get more of them, she wanted to pay me for them, and it was just that authenticness of how she had the same exact problem I was having, but I had solved it for her. And it was just a life-changing moment for her where it was just on her face that she couldn't have been more thankful.
Wow.
And when you have one of those kind of interactions with somebody, I mean, it definitely, stuck in my head for the rest of the day, and all I could think about was, okay, how can I tell my husband about this where he can see how important it was to her, because he wasn't there to witness it happen. And so when I went home that night and I told him, when we were sitting in the kitchen making dinner, he thought I was crazy. He was like, no one's going to buy these things. That's ridiculous, Ashley. And so I just said, well, let me try. Let me try. What do we have to lose if I don't take any of our money, out of our savings? If I just start a Facebook page, just let me try. And so he said, sure, go right ahead. No one's going to buy them. And here we are almost 4 years later, and over $1 million in sales. So
wow.
things can escalate quickly. So.
We're talking to Ashley Drake of the Natural Grip right here on HomeBizBiz.com. It's radio for small business where you connect, capitalize, and go. Ashley, you talked about how your husband actually created the product. Now, do you guys work the business together, or is it pretty much your baby that you run with?
Well, I am the CEO. There's no doubt about that. He is the COO, Chief of Operations. I'm actually still active duty, so I work full-time for the Army, and so I'm not able to really focus on the business stuff until later in the afternoon when I'm done with my Army requirements. And Justin runs the production facility from 9 to 5 every day, or later if necessary.
Gotcha.
So we're both fully committed, but he runs the day-to-day stuff, and I kind of handle the high-level stuff.
Gotcha. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when you were on Beyond the Tank, I watched that show a whole lot. I know you were thinking about making a big decision as far as the full-time job goes. Has anything else changed with that since then?
Yeah, no. I mean, I had made the decision to get out of the military, and so that's been communicated to the Army, and they're tracking that. It just takes time for that to kind of go through the process. So my commitment's not up until next October, and so I'll fulfill my commitment that I have for my term of service, and then I'll go ahead and transition out. It's just it's not something anybody should take lightly, and it takes time. So that's why there was a topic then, but still hasn't, been executed yet.
Absolutely. We're talking to Ashley Drake of the Natural Grip, HomeBiz.com. Connect, capitalize, go. Ashley, you mentioned something about, wanting to quit the full-time job, and your job is actually more important than probably most of all others out there. A member of the United States Army. We thank you for your service. So what were some of the things and details that you had to think about and consider before you decided to walk away from that safety net, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, definitely getting paid on the 1st and the 15th, an officer's salary is a big thing to walk away from. I mean, ultimately the business does play a role in it, but in addition to that, we have a daughter. She's 5 years old, and so becoming a mom and continuing in the service is a difficult decision point kind of for any female soldier, enlisted or on the officer side. So I tell everybody, the company has played a role in the decision, but ultimately I want to be there for our daughter, and I'm very thankful for the military career that I've had, and I know that I could go very far in the military, but I also take my responsibility of being a mother very seriously, and your priorities change as you get older and things change in your life. So Ellie is more important than my Army career, and therefore
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I need to focus on that.
I don't think anyone will fault you for making that decision. Definitely a member of the armed forces. Even, my father and both of my brothers have served in different branches of the military. So definitely thank you for your service with that. We're talking with Ashley Drake of The Natural Grip. Now, you mentioned something. 3-4 years in to the business, $1 million in sales later. I mean, you go back to your husband saying it'll never sell. When you sold your first 6 figures, what'd he say?
He said, he said, okay, now what? And I said, well, we keep going, it was just kind of like that. He was skeptical at first, but, when we started the business in May of 2013, by the end of that year, we had done 60,000 in sales. And so that was kind of the moment like, oh man, this is legitimate. We got to worry. The tax man's going to be interested in this, we've got to be interested in this, what are we going to do? And it was really a decision point, were we going to walk away or were we going to continue on that path? And, luckily my husband had the opportunity where he could, change his profession and take the production on full time. So, he's just as committed as I am to making this successful. And every day we're surprised, by the growth of the company. But we're putting in the level of work that it takes to make that a reality. And there's no wasted time in our family. So we're here as long as it takes, and plus some.
So why don't you tell the listeners how to get more information about The Natural Grip?
Yeah, the best way is social media. We're very active on all of our social platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you're just interested, kind of want to check us out or start following us, I highly recommend, at The Natural Grip. And we're on all those platforms. And then also you can check out our product on our website, www.thenaturalgrip.com, and you can order a pair for right there from our website.
Awesome. Ashley Drake with The Natural Grip, CEO, might I add, right here. Thank you for taking your time out on homeabiz.com.
Thank you for having me.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month,
so it's anybody.
Use the social share of the page to tell your network about the podcast For Business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
All new radio for small business.
If you've got stinky hands, stinky breath, you want to talk to the next guest here on homeabiz.com, Tony Gauthier of Spritz. You've seen him all over the place, all through the media. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So what part of the world are you in, Tony?
I'm in Oakland, California, on the West Coast, Oakland, California. This is home. Born and raised. I love this place. It's the best place on earth.
Now, your business is Spritz. Obviously people, they heard me say, if you got stinky hands and stinky breath, they need to listen to you. Tell us about Spritz.
Yeah, so Spritz is the original first all-natural 2-in-1 breath and hand freshener. And I know a lot of people are going to say, what, breath and hand freshener? Yes, it is the first breath and hand freshener. I came up with Spritz a few years ago while I was hosting a party, and I kind of snuck outside for a quick smoke break, and I didn't want to go back inside with the embarrassing smell of the cigarette smell. I know it's a bad habit as it is, but that's when I thought to myself, what if there was a product that can actually take away the smell of smoke from your hands as well as your breath? So that's when I created Spritz, along with a chemist friend of mine. So basically, Spritz is for people that, whether they smoke or not, it's an alternative, a healthier alternative to freshen your breath. 0 calories, no sugar. It's all natural. It's the new after dinner mint. You can use it after you just ate some sushi, some fried food. You're about to go on a date, going to the office. That's what Spritz is all about.
Just a little spritz, and you'll be ready to go.
There you go. A little spritz goes a long way.
So, eventually you got this thing pumping enough where you got enough people excited, and you ended up raising capital. Now, before you ended up on ABC's Shark Tank, had you ever pitched and raised capital before?
No, I have not, actually. This has actually been my first time doing it to this extent. I've started businesses before as a young guy, whether it was doing music or doing a clothing line, a local clothing line, but never something to this extent. So this is still something very brand new to me. I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn. I'm in no way a professional entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur in training. But it's been an awesome ride, and I know that we have a long way to go, and it's just going to be amazing.
So, I mean, obviously, being the entrepreneur in training, and when you ended up on the carpet there on ABC's Shark Tank, what are some of the things – I don't really want to talk about the show itself. I want to talk about what you did to prep and some of the mindset and some of the thought process. So what were some of the things that you did to prepare for that show? Okay,
yeah, good. So I'm very optimistic, and I'm a huge believer in the power of the mind as well as the spirit. So prior to going to the show, I can say this. When I first came out with the product, I literally would write down my goals, my visions, my dreams of what I wanted to accomplish with this product on my vision board. I hate to be cliche about it, but I did. I continued reading a lot of entrepreneurial books. I watched the show daily, and I just said, okay, I need to know my business inside and out. So what we would do as a team is we would practice going over every question that we can possibly think of, every question that they would possibly throw at us, and also we would create our own. As well as it allowed me to start learning the industry of the breath industry, the breath spray industry, the mint industry, the gum industry, so I can know what the competition, if it exists out there, what it would be or what not.
Gotcha.
So preparing for the show, I would just always say to myself, I have this credo that I live by, this creed that I live by. My thoughts will transform my future. If I think positive about the results, only positive results are going to come to me. So I would just, be positive every day about going on the show, presenting my idea. It wasn't about winning or losing. It wasn't about getting a deal or not getting a deal. It was about knowing my business and knowing what I want to achieve in life with this business.
Wow. Tony Gauthier of Spritz. We're talking to him right now on Radio for Small Business. You can visit us up at homebabiz.com. Connect, capitalize, go. Tony, let's talk about that next level. Right now, you are on the carpet, and you're pitching investors. What's going through your head? What are some of the questions they're asking you? And what are you doing to power through, man?
So to power through, and for the viewers, the listeners who may or may have not seen the show, I don't want to give it away just yet because I want them to be able to go to our website, spritzme.com, SPRETZ and they can click the link to see the episode. So I don't want to give up all the juice. But what was going through my head at that moment was, we made it. Regardless of what the outcome is going to be, we made it. I made it. I am doing this for my mother. My mother passed away 3 years ago to a day of the taping of the show.
Oh, man.
And so it's okay. So I knew I had to power my mother, as well as, being an entrepreneur in training. This is what it's all about. I'm standing in front of an opportunity, basically a gold mine or basically a pot of gold, whether they like it or not. The world is going to see this. So I just had to swallow all my inhibitions and not be nervous and know my numbers and know my business inside out and be ready for whatever they had to throw at me. This wasn't a gimmick. This isn't a gimmick. This wasn't a hustle. It's not a hustle. This is a real business. So that was going through my mind, was the fact that my thought process got us here. It actually really works. And now we have to show the world that this is not a laughing matter. This isn't a joke. We're not the joking episode. This is a real business, a viable business that can actually take off.
Right.
So that's what was going through my head. I wanted to prove to the Sharks that it's a new business. It's never been done before, but this is something that we want to take a risk on because this is the future of freshness. People laughed at the inventor of the telephone. If I told you right now, hey, I want to talk to you from across the world with this string of wire, you'd laugh at me.
People would have thought you were crazy back then.
That's right. So people thought the same way with Spritz. So that's what was going through my head. Just no nerves. We made it. Let's show the world what Spritz is all about.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Tony Gauthier of Spritz. We're talking to him right now on HomeBiz Radio, HomeBiz.com. We've been talking about, one, Spritz at SpritzMe.com. We've been talking about, two, his experience raising capital and on ABC Shark Tank. Tell us a little bit more. Let's kind of switch gears just a little bit now that you're, quote unquote, post Shark Tank, right? Even whether you got a deal or not, you still get massive publicity. Was there some things you had to put in place to be ready for that influx of new business and new inquiries?
Yeah, there was actually. Really, at that moment there, I had to go out and really put my business knowledge to effect. I had to also reach out and ask for some favors. I know a few people in the financial industry that are financial investors or advisors. I know some people that do operations and the directors of operations for various companies. So I had to swallow my pride and not be afraid to admit the things that I did not know. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think we were as prepared as we should have been once the show aired, because the influx of orders and the influx of emails, it was overwhelming. We purposely had a delay for the shipment date so that we could be ready just in case there were too many orders or not enough. And, it was such a blessing to see all those orders coming in. But I had to take a step back and start asking for favors on how do I properly do this? What is the flow? What should the flow look like, when we're sending out orders? Just recently I sent out an email blast to all of our awesome and amazing customers that, this journey hasn't been perfect, but we thank you for riding it out with us. I mean, we had hiccups with our shipment station. We had some hiccup with our orders. I had to refund some people. I had to send out double duplicates because these are lessons that I just didn't know. I had no idea how to properly send out orders through a mail channel when we had all those, the night of the show airing. So, it was definitely, that night was a lesson learned, and it's been a lesson learned. And, that's what life is all about. You learn from your mistakes. You try not to make them again.
But I'm guessing you probably got the equivalent of a college degree in just that short time after the show, just with all that information.
Oh yeah, I should be a professor now. My mother used to always say experience is the greatest teacher. And boy, that was a great lesson and a great teacher. I mean, being on the show, going through this process, this actually has been one of the greatest lessons I've learned in life. I mean, being a parent is also awesome. Being a friend, a brother, a husband is great. But learning this School of Hard Knocks business is amazing, because that's what it's all about. Everything's not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to be sweet. And you have to be okay with that. I won't lie. I was emotional and hurt when I would see emails of people saying, hey, I didn't get my order today. Can you give me a refund? Or, hey,
that hurts.
It took 10
to
days
get money back, right? Yeah.
It does, but one of my key values with my company, with Spritz, is customers first. I mean, we believe in amazing customer service. I email everyone back that sends me an email, sends me a Facebook post, a tweet, an Instagram. Anytime something comes into the Spritz Me website, I email them back personally. I don't care if it's a good email, a bad email, if it's an insult, if it's a congratulations. I email everyone back because I believe in the power of customer service.
Well, Tony Gauthier, owner of Spritz, I definitely thank you for taking your time out. Sounds like you're a very wise man. And why don't you tell the listeners a little bit more about how to get a hold of you, maybe your website, information, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. This is a part of the journey that I'm so thankful for. All the listeners can check us out on SpritzMe.com. That's SPRETZ. M as in Mary, E as in elephant, SpritzMe.com. They can go to our Facebook and follow us, just at SpritzMe. Our Twitter handle is at SpritzMe, as well as the Instagram is at SpritzMe. Even if you just Google SpritzMe, it'll pop up. You'll see some YouTube reviews. We were just featured in Forbes.com as one of the top 25 best gifts for Father's Day. So there's a lot of information out there. Again, if you email us, I'll email you back most likely, or maybe one of my interns. But if you have stinky breath, if you have stinky hands, this is a unique product, but it's all natural. There's 0 calories, no sugar. It's an amazing, amazing product. Even if you do or don't smoke, it's the right product for you. Spritz is the future of fresh, and we are so happy to be a part of your show.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for taking your time out here on HomeBiz.com.
Thank you. You have a good one.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast for business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
Put your mouth where your money is. Radio for small business with HomeBiz.
Well, it's Radio for Small Business. Your host, Eugene Rowe. Check us out on HomeBiz.com. You can also check the show out on Google Play, iTunes, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and a whole lot more options. Right now, today, I've got David Lynch with Simonon Realtors on the show. David, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Realty, real estate, are you investing? Or are you more so realtor? How's that work?
I'm a commercial realtor. I've been in the business about 30 years. I got my MBA in 85 and started out with Humana in corporate acquisition and development, picking out their sites around the Southeast U.S. when they were a hospital company.
Wow.
Then went on to NTS. It's a regional commercial group here that leases office buildings. They had about 21 office buildings.
Okay.
Did some leasing for them, and then I got into general commercial brokerage and have followed that path.
So tell me a little bit, what part of the country are you in, David?
Midwest.
Okay.
Which, Louisville is a big area for industrial because it's about 6 hours to Chicago, to Atlanta, to St. Louis, 4.5, to the East Coast, probably about 7 or 8. So it's a good central location. We got a couple of new bridges going in downtown that's going to allow quicker access north-south, and we have several interstates here that go north, south, east, west.
I actually like Louisville because I could be in downtown and in the next 5 minutes I'm in Indiana, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That is.
Just
that
by
is.
crossing
You're
the bridge.
in the country in a hurry.
Awesome. So now we're talking to David Lynch with Simonon Realty in Louisville, Kentucky. Am I pronouncing it right, David? Louisville?
That is correct.
Awesome.
You got it. I could tell you talked to someone here before.
Oh, yeah. I've been corrected before. You say Louisville in Louisville, and people look at you funny.
Right. That's right. Where are you from?
So now you're commercial realty. Most of the people that we talk to, they're either residential or in many cases they're investors. Tell us about the commercial industry that makes it different from, say, for instance, residential.
Some of the things that make commercial a little different is the time. It takes a much longer time to make from the actual listing to the sale to the closing. You can have some that could go as much as 2 or 3 years, depending upon the complication of it. So timing is a big issue. Then where you advertise is different methods to get the word out on the internet. We use about 20 platforms that we push our information out to. Okay. We have a state site, national site, and then these about 20 platforms we pass the information out to. So advertising is different.
I like what you said about the advertising because I'm guessing with its commercial, do you guys ever try to focus, say, for instance, if a building's empty or a commercial real estate property is empty, do you maybe try to help companies who want to move into town, incentivize them to move into your places?
Yes, we do. That would be mostly leasing a lot of times. We do all kinds of leasing for large and small properties. And that's a little bit different game. You play that game with a letter of intent usually to say, it's kind of like, this is what I'd like to do. and then you negotiate that back and forth before you get to the lease.
I got you.
So that is the leasing side of it.
Huh. So tell us about, I know you mentioned how you got started, but what was the mindset that brought you into the commercial industry? And before you say that, we're talking to David Lynch with Simonin Realty, Commercial Realty in Louisville, Kentucky. Tell us a little bit about the mindset that took you into commercial versus where it seems like many other people like to go into homeowners and private property.
Well, growing up, I was a runner in high school and college, so that required a lot of doing on your own and some on teams. And from that background, I came into real estate. My brother-in-law sells farms in Tennessee and has done that for 30, 40 years. And I thought I'd get into residential, which I started in. And then I kind of expanded into commercial because it was a little more challenging. It takes a little more time, a little more effort, a little more knowledge. And you run into a lot of the big thing that's difference between residential and commercial is zoning. You can only put certain kinds of businesses in certain locations of property based on the zoning. So, you can't just go out and buy any business you want. It has to fit the zoning method, or you have to get it rezoned. So you have zoning issues, you have environmental. A lot of times on homes you get a home inspection. Well, when you get to commercial, you have a commercial requirement, a lot of times by the lender, which could include environmental inspections. Those take a little bit of time. They're more expensive.
And I'm guessing most lenders aren't necessarily trying to rush the process. They want to make sure that their investment is going to be protected, right?
Exactly right.
So what about, I'm guessing there's also things like flood studies and things like that. What are some other, if I'm going to start a business, say even in Louisville, Kentucky, right? And I want to buy a piece of commercial property. What are the top 3 things I need to consider, even if it's zoning? What are the top 3 things I should consider before I even sign the contract on my new franchise?
Well, before you do anything, you really need to get with your lender, banker, whoever.
Buttons at the bottom.
Has kind of the same. That's very helpful if you all working on the same page of kind of added to the process. So you find that, and then you find the different avenues to go and look. Still a lot of it is on the internet, even though everything is not on the internet, unfortunately, on the commercial side, but a good majority of it is. So you start, your search on the internet and your search with your broker. And then you start working through the process of eliminating properties. So first is financing, second is getting your broker, and probably the third is to make sure you have someone knowledgeable that you can really talk to about what you really want. What's your goal? What's your objective? And then we talk about how you can get there. So those things come before you really actually go out and look at properties.
Well said. I like that. We've been talking to David Lynch right here on the Home of Biz Radio for Small Business show. He's with Simonin Commercial Realty. David, why don't you give the listeners a way to get a hold of you?
Well, there's several ways you can get a hold of me. My first is my email, dlynch, DLYNCH, @Simonin.com. That's SEMONIN.com. I also have a website, David Lynch, one word, .Simonin.com. I have plenty of numbers. Probably my cell number is the easiest way, area code 502-417-3888. You can find all that on my website, and I have a $5,000 bill on there. If you click on it, it'll give you a miniature 2.5-minute version of my listing presentation, so you kind of have a little heads up on what I do and how I approach it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. David Lynch with Simonin Commercial Realty right here on homeofbiz.com. Make sure as a listener, you touch, share, like, tweet, whatever you do, do it online. We're available everywhere. David, thanks for taking your time out on homeofbiz.com.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for the call.
Connect, capitalize, go.
Hi, I'm Eugene Rowe, host of the podcast For Business. On behalf of our team, I'd like to say thanks. Every month, we're able to impact thousands of lives all over the globe with relevant, impactful, and insightful guests. Some of them have even been featured on national television shows like ABC's Shark Tank and CNBC's The Profit. Our mission is simple: to journey with you on your road to achievement. To do that, I'd like to invite you to partner with us in our Share All promise. I promise to continually share for free without commercial interruption and unnecessary subscriptions. And I ask that you promise to share us with your friends. Here's something you like? Simply use the social share buttons at the bottom of the page to tell your network about the podcast for business. It's simple, easy, and only takes 5 seconds. That's it, partner. You've made the Share All promise.
Inside the mind of the owner. Radio for small business. Connect, capitalize, go.
It's Radio for Small Business. Your host, Eugene Rowe, on HomeBiz.com. You can check out the show not just at HomeBiz.com, but on Google Play, iTunes. I think it's on YouTube. We've got it on Spreaker, Soundcast, and anywhere there's sound available, you can check it out. Right now, today, I've got a young lady who knows how to make things happen. She's got all the swag in your bag. SwagEssentials.com owner, Miss Lydia Evans. Welcome to Radio for Small Business.
Oh, thank you for having me, Eugene. I appreciate it.
So tell us, I remember you from ABC Shark Tank. That's where I remember you from. You went onto the show, but I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to talk about your background and how you got to starting business first. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, I started in business many years ago, actually 9 years ago, making a ladies line called La Bella Dolce. And it was like your handcrafted sugar scrubs, lotions. And my focus was for people that had sensitive skin like myself, because I'm a sufferer of eczema. And so I just made a bunch of natural products that were enriched with different oils and tinctures and hydrosols that help people like myself that had eczema. So that was my initial start, was actually solution to my own skincare issues.
Gotcha.
And as time went along, I became a licensed esthetician where I really, really studied and learned skincare by the book. So I just mixed the two, and here I am.
Wow. And eventually, now you've got a product that Forbes magazine calls the coolest gift for travelers. How was it getting that designation?
Oh, that was awesome. As a matter of fact, I found out by accident. That's so funny. A lot of the press we get, I find out by accident because it's like every once in a while I'll Google myself, which when I did it right after Shark Tank, everybody said, don't Google yourself, but I did. And I was like, oh my God, all these people that have gotten the product have wrote up on it. That's amazing. So I didn't find out about it until well after the journalist had wrote about it being the coolest gift for travelers. And she did that around the holiday. And then this past Father's Day, from a completely different journalist at Forbes, she named us the best gift for Father's Day.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Wow, yeah. That's pretty cool. You got so much stuff going on. It's like, okay, Forbes writes you up and you don't even know about it. It's just business as usual, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty awesome. So tell us about, obviously when you go onto shows like ABC Shark Tank, you're attempting to raise capital from investors. And in this case, it's the sharks. Tell us about the mindset you had going up to preparing to pitch investors for your business.
Okay, well, before I even left Houston, Texas, I told my mother and my father, there's two things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to get an attitude and embarrass my family name on national TV if they turn me down.
Good idea.
That was the first thing. And the second thing was I'm not going to cry. Only because I just feel like there's business and then there's emotion, and the two don't need to cross. Gotcha. So when I went out there with a very fixed mindset of I'm going to go tell them the honest to God's truth, even though I know I didn't have, but $54,000 in sales. I'm going to tell them the honest to God's truth. I'm going to tell them my numbers, and I'm going to stand behind them firmly. I'm going to say I did $54,000 in sales as if I did $1 million.
Right.
Because I feel like to sell a $54,000 in one bar of soap by yourself out of the trunk of your car was a feat to me. So I went out there with all the confidence like I had a multi-million-dollar brand. But that doesn't mean that I didn't want to faint while I was on that stage.
Right.
Because it's very real. It's extremely real. So there's no pre-taping. There's none of that. You tape one time, and that's all you get. So when people saw me on TV on December 5th, that was the first time I saw myself.
Wow. So just in case you're just tuning in, we're talking to Lydia Evans, owner of SwagEssentials.com, SwagEssentials.com. Now, I'm saying SwagEssentials.com right now, and they're on Radio for Small Business. But Lydia, you've got a cool story about when you went on to the show, you didn't necessarily have that domain name yet, did you?
No, I did not. I actually tried to get it, but it was taken. There was some little teenager, like a 15-year-old kid, that had like a little online store for T-shirts. And when I tried to contact them, they were like, no, it's not for sale or whatever have you. Neither here nor there. I went ahead and took the domain pure-swag because I felt like, okay, pure to play off of the fact that, you know, our tagline is grooming by pure design because all of our products are natural and made with pure ingredients. And then SWNG, which is an acronym for our full name, soaps, washes, and grooming. So we took the name pure-swag.com as a domain. Well, shortly after we got that and we aired on Shark Tank, all of a sudden I get an email from an anonymous man. He said he wanted to stay anonymous. And he said, hey, why are you promoting pure-swag and not your domain? That's bad for branding. So then, of course, you know, my first response was like, no, duh. Like, yeah, of course.
Really?
I know that. Do you think I would just purposely go get this name if it was available? So I responded back, sir, it's not available, but thank you so much for your feedback, and I appreciate that. And so he responds back and says, well, it was up for sale in February, and I have been monitoring it ever since.
Wow.
And I bought it. And I'm willing to transfer it over to you. Well, of course, because right after Shark Tank, everybody is connecting themselves to my pockets as fast as possible. I'm like, oh, this man is going to try to sell me this domain name for thousands of dollars. But it has value to my brand, and I was literally preparing myself to do that. But by the grace of God, he responded back, and he said, I'm not asking you for anything. I love you. I love your personality. I think you're going to go far, even without a shark. Your product's great. I do definitely want to remain anonymous in this. However, I would like to just transfer it over to your company, and I'll pay for everything.
What?
And I thought it was a joke.
Really?
And I was like, wow, what an angel. Yes. And I was like, what an angel. And I was like, sir, we can send you a check made out just blank. You can put your own name in there. And he was like, no need to. Wow. And he sent me back an email like, this is some good marketing advice for you. And, you know, I do this professionally for a living. And I think these are some tips you can apply. And best of luck with your
that's amazing.
Business. And I was like, wow, yeah.
Wow. So I guess, you sow those good seed and eventually something comes back to you. And this guy, I mean, he probably could have sold it on the market for at least $5,000, $10,000, I'm guessing. And,
easy.